Hello, welcome to this dedicated guide to Phase 2 of Dancing Mad Ultimate, God Kefka. This is a phase that essentially boils down to one mechanic, one that seems to be giving Party Finder extreme troubles, even at this point in the fight being out. I hope this will help people break through, and maybe understand the mechanics better. Before we begin, I will quick ask you to rate, comment, and subscribe down below. You can also follow my socials, follow my Patreon, and follow my Twitch. I am on break from streaming until I kill the entire fight, mostly. This video will be using the Kefka bin Party Finder strategies. Beware that some things may change with this set of strategies as time passes. The link to this paste bin is down below. Currently, the final accepted strategy for this phase is Croxy Renon 341. This name makes sense in context, at least the 341 part. As with every ultimate fight, most, if not every instance of damage needs some form of mitigation. The exact mitigation can and will change based on party composition, especially tank busters due to the different timers for invulnerabilities. I will not be going over mitigation in this video. Kefka bin currently uses Akuya MIDI, which is still undergoing changes as of writing this. Do keep this in mind. Upon spawning, God Kefka will do a shared tank buster, mitigate as relevant. This is all he does before moving into Forsaken, which takes up around a minute and a half for the entire mechanic. I will start with how the mechanic works, before going into the actual solving of the mechanic. How the mechanic works is key to why we solve things the way we do. I have split up the video into two sections to mark where explaining the mechanic itself stops and where resolving it and tips for it begin. I will be very in-depth due to how many moving parts there are. To better show how it works, we will split the party up into pairs, one ranged and one melee. You will partner within your role, supports leaning left and DPS to the right. Upon cast completion, a pair of towers will spawn next to each other, and Kefka will become the new north relative to the towers. The towers will spawn anywhere around him, being on adjacent cardinals or intercardinals, so northeast and southeast, or north and east as two examples. With every completed tower set, new ones spawn, rotating around the boss. They can rotate clockwise or counterclockwise, but will go the same direction for the entire pool. There will be 16 towers total, and every player will have 4 stacks of a debuff, which are removed only by taking towers. At the same time as the cast completing, everyone will gain an icon over their head. This is why we are split into pairings. One role will get 3 cones and 1 stack marker. The other role will get 3 circles and 1 stack. This is guaranteed and easily allows us to group everyone based on these debuffs. Pairs who have the same debuff will be placed in Group B, while pairs with different debuffs will be Group A. This is not just the solution, but a required piece of knowledge. Regardless of which group you are in though, the only other player you have to concern yourself with is your partner. It is recommended to focus target this person before pulling for easier tracking, especially because after a few seconds, the icons disappear. You must remember your icon, as it is acting like an invisible debuff. When taking a tower, the invisible debuff will activate. Obviously, each icon does a different thing. The circle does an AoE on the player, giving them and any other player hit a vulnerability up. The cone will target the nearest other player, doing a cone in that direction. Gives all players hit a vulnerability up. The stack marker requires 3 players in it, similar to confetti. Less than 3 and you instantly die. All players in it will get a vuln up. On top of this, the tower itself is a 2-player enumeration, and will explode, giving a damage down to anyone it doesn't just outright kill. It will not give a vuln up to anyone inside it. The most important part of this is that anyone who takes a tower will be given a new debuff. This will be completely random within the set of the opposite debuff group. So if Group B takes the towers, they will randomly be distributed the Group A buffs. You and your partner can both be the stack, even though this is not possible at the start. It is completely random, but will always be 2 stacks, 1 circle, and 1 cone. Vice versa for Group A into Group B. With this in mind, we must resolve towers over and over, placing everyone so that we can properly stack, but also not bait cones toward players in the stacks or such. On top of this is that on every even-numbered tower, Kefka will do a kick on the 4 closest players via the use of clones. This will do an AoE on the target, about the size of the circle debuff. Players hit will receive a Vuln Up, much like the debuff icons give. You must also note the name of the kick, as it will be called Past or Future's End. This signifies the direction of a different kick he and the clones will do soon after, during the resolution of the next set of towers. To bait this past or future kick, we will go to max melee between or across from the towers. For future, stand away from the towers, causing him to turn toward the party and kick forward. When past, stand between the towers and you will kick behind him. Being hit by any one of these kicks will give a damage down. Who he targets is random, so you must all stack, and max melee is needed because the clones will not be direct center of the arena. They will be slightly off, so the closer you are to Kefka, the wider the angles will be, and could cause someone to be hit when they resolve. Be sure to wait for the cast of All Things Ending to move out of your bait spot. After resolving all towers, we will have one final baited kick into a raid-wide cast doing heavy damage, ending the mechanic. Group A is first specifically because of the proximity-based Kefka kicks. Stacks must resolve when a kick is not. Stacks cause 3 players to take a vulnerability, so taking even one stack marker during an even-numbered tower causes too many people to have a vuln, and not allowed to bait. Whereas Group B's set of debuffs takes out exactly 4 players, leaving 4 others to take the kicks. So now comes how we actually resolve the mechanic. We're doing Croxy Renon 341, where 341 is how we take the towers as teams. Group A will be the pairs with stacks, while Group B is the ones without, instead having the same icon. Group A will take 3 towers, Group B will take the next 4 towers, and then Group A will swap back in. This is due to the facts we previously established. We must take the stacks on odd towers, where even towers will be the pairs without stacks. This swap here is absolutely required, and at least 2 swaps is needed for solving the mechanic, due to there being 2 groups. If we just did Group A 4 times in a row, the stack markers would begin to be during Kefka kicks for Group B. We also have to make a flex priority. Remember that when you get new debuffs, it is completely random how they are split, and Group B will begin with pairs having the same debuff. As such, we will have a melee flex. The melee player of the 2 will swap to the other tower as needed. So for this example, notice the melee DPS to the left and tank to the right. For the first tower, the pairs with stacks will take the tower, while the ones with the same debuff will be outside the towers. The sword icon is any DPS player. The lancer icon means any player can end up in that spot for the first tower. The 4 dots icon is any support. The tank in the front, the healer in the back, and the 2 DPS next to the stack in the right tower will happen no matter what. This includes the 3rd, 5th, and 7th towers, when which player has which debuff is entirely unknown. Put simply, anytime you see the Lancer icon, you will have to know how to place yourself in that spot as a melee. Melee flex means the ranged have less spots to worry about. Why these spots? For the left tower, you are aiming to get 3 players in the stack, but there is going to be a conal AoE to resolve. We have the healer in the back soak the cone, while the cone debuff and the Group B tank will take the stack. On the right, we place the circle in the back, and just simply stack the group up north. The exact placements of the cone and stack on the left side are pretty precise, as you need to have the stack hit everyone but the healer, and the cone needs to also hit the healer. When the tower is on a number marker, I tend to aim for the corners of the marker, plus or minus a step depending on the roll. If it's a letter marker, have the cone stand on the edge of the marker and no closer to the center of the tower. The stack, aim for around the edge of the hitbox. Outside the tower, the tank up front and the DPS want to avoid being too far north for the Kefka kicks coming on the later towers. Try to be on the edge of the tower's hitbox as the front tank, and the DPS be on the little corner. The eastern stack also does not want to stack tight with the other DPS, as you will end up hitting the tank on the other side, as demonstrated here. Stand closer to the north of the tower. For the even towers, we have 2 cones and 2 circles. Keep the circles in the back, with the cones up front. They will bait the Kefka kicks while their cones shoot nearby ranged players from Group B. The 2 melee in Group B will stand at the other side to bait the other 2 Kefka kicks. This is very, very precise. Being even a step or 2 off can lower the chance to succeed. The cone might bait to the wrong player, or the kick will hit the ranged players taking the cones. To avoid this, the icons are placed extremely importantly. The northern 2 players are on the outside edge of Kefka's hitbox. I also try to aim myself with the nearest marker, being 2 steps away. The cone players in the tower are on the inner ring. This is non-negotiable. It is extremely precise. Standing in this exact spot removes you from the equation, since the other players might also be 1 or 2 steps off. This exact moment is the most precise moment in the mechanic. The ranged players are going to be behind the marker, or next to it, depending on if it's numbers or letters. This might take you a few attempts to find the sweet spot, but here I am showing where the players are relative to me as the cone. The circle players in the back do want to position themselves pretty well regardless of being so far in the back. We're aiming for the exact back of the tower relative to the cone player, which we have tails for. If the letter marker is poking into the tower, stand about on the edge of it. If the number is in the middle of the tower, go a step to the side. Here is a line to show how the cone player is not in line with the corner of the mark. Remember to note whether the cast was past or future, and get moving as soon as everything explodes. The tower going off immediately snapshots everything. Bait the kick, and move immediately to your odd tower position. If you are the tank or the pair of DPS closest to Kefka, be sure not to be too far north. The further north you are, the closer you are to being clipped by a kick. A final tip I can give that will hopefully simplify the mechanic for you. Don't try too hard to count the towers. For example, if you are Group B, you will swap into doing towers from Tower 4. So check your debuff and your partner, then note to yourself the position you need to go to. Back left, or front right, or such. Same for when you are Group A and swap out. Remember your final icon by thinking, I am front right at the end. Then, when Group B runs out of the 4 stacks of their debuff, go to your final spot. So, 1, 2, 3, swap. I am back right at the end. Oh, one last thing. Many parties, and potentially all parties in future, will bait the final past or future at the final tower set, regardless of being past or future. This is less movement for the caster players in all situations. If it was future, you would need to move through the boss anyway at the end, and just baiting between the towers is less movement to do the bait itself. Let's put it all together into one fluid motion that will certainly take practice even when every element is understood. Forsaken is cast. Check icon and partner's icon. Go to position. Remember position if Group B. Resolve towers. 1. Check partner for debuff if a melee flex. Move to positions while checking if past or future. Resolve towers and Kefka kicks. 2. Bait past or future. Move to spots. Resolve towers and past or future. 3. Swap. Move to spots while checking if past or future. Resolve towers and Kefka kicks. Bait past or future. Move to spots. Resolve towers and past or future. Move to spots while checking if past or future. Resolve towers and Kefka kicks. Bait past or future. Move to spots. Resolve towers and past or future. Group B is out of tower stacks. Swap. Move to spots while checking if past or future. Resolve towers and Kefka kicks. Bait past or future at the final towers. Move through if future. Mitigate for Light of Judgment cast. Congrats if you made it through Forsaken. You have to now do it every single pull to progress further. Luckily, the rest of Phase 2 is pretty easy with only Trine. Start middle, and sets of triangles will be placed onto the floor. 3 sets will fall, with a 3rd set including the middle. Large explosions will appear on the points of the triangle in the order they landed. The party and the tanks will be resolving this mechanic separately, due to the tank busted during this. The party will look from A, and then clockwise to the first triangle in the first set of trines. Tanks go counterclockwise from 1, while also making a note of the middle trine. During the trines coming down, Kefka will cast a half-room cleave. Just be on the opposite side, it's there just to scare you. The trines will then explode after another few seconds. Rush right into the first explosions. The party will stand near the edge, but not quite. Be about 2 rings of the arena spiral away from the edge. Kefka will be casting a near and far bait tank buster. 1 tank baits close, the other runs to the edge of the safe zone. The close tank has it rough, as the 3rd trine explodes at the same time as the buster resolving. They must pay attention to the flat edges of the middle trine, get close to the boss, but stay far away enough to not get hit by the trine. It's a ring away from the edge of his hitbox, depending on where you take it. Because this is so tough on the middle tank, the far tank should hug as close to the edge as safely as they can, and even rotate a bit away from where the inner tank will be. Give them as much room as possible. I'm trying to get good angles for you to see, but as a melee DPS it is hard to properly, truly show how tight it is. That is why the party wants to prioritize being out too, to help that tank. Kefka will end on 1 more Shade Buster before enraging. Kill him before he does, and he'll transform back into the normal Jister look, and doing a knockback into the Phase 3 cutscene. Stand mid and you should survive no matter the angle. Though prioritize east and west depending on which boss you will be on for Phase 3. More on that in Phase 3 guides. If instead he actually does die, it is because you failed a puzzle in Phase 1. Go back to start. Was this helpful? Did this clarify the mechanic for you? Do you think you can actually get through the mechanic now? If so, please rate, comment, and sub. I made this specifically because it seemed people are truly struggling and needed a little extra push. If you want me to do the rest of the fight, be sure to comment that as well. The rest of the fight is far less detailed than Forsaken, so will take less time to go over and need less to understand. I also make other videos that aren't ultimate guides. Check those out! Also, Project Moon is cool. Take care and may the power of An and Nidhogg's they waste to your enemies.